Good morning, and welcome to Dualitea. I'm your host, Ash, and I'm here with our very special guest,
Best friend.
Adriana.
You forgot to put best friend.
It's
Best friend.
and my best friend, the Lucita to my Lupita.
That's
No,
right.
Lupita to my Lucita. You see, I got it backwards.
Yeah.
And we'll touch base on that and
Crazy
tap
story.
into that at another point.
For sure.
I just want to first and foremost, before we get into this podcast specifically, I normally pray before I do the podcast, and I said a little something, but I just feel really called to pray in the beginning of this particular podcast. So yeah, bear with me if you're here. So I pray in a good way, Creator, to be able to speak from my heart in a really balanced way. To keep in the forefront, the objective is to educate and also to learn, to do my best to be in the utmost balance and integrity and love, and keep myself grounded. I know when talking on these podcasts, especially about sensitive topics, it's a difficult thing, to be vulnerable on a public platform, nonetheless live, nonetheless when you're experiencing your own things in your life. So I just want to pray in a really good way that, this podcast reaches whoever it's meant to, and whoever is not meant to listen to it doesn't need to, and everything else like that in a good way. And I just pray that we have fun and get to really unpack some important topics that I feel like a lot of people could benefit from and maybe be protected and guided throughout this. I hope.
With good intention.
So thank you for giving me the space to do that, and for anyone listening. So good morning, Lori. And good morning, anyone else who is on here.
For sure. Good morning.
And yeah, so I mean, on a more lighthearted note, we could start with the Lupita Lucy. We could start with that since you gave such a great example of that when we were driving. Also,
Yeah.
I want to just say, shout out to y'all for having patience for us. We just pulled up from Queens, so we tried to get here as fast
That's
as
my
possible.
fault.
But it's
That's me.
it's okay. It's okay. We made it happen. But that's love.
Yeah.
I knew if I was gonna get you on this podcast, I needed to physically pick you up and bring you.
I would not be here.
So we made it happen.
We did. So exciting. Nervous. I didn't know I was going to be there. I was like, am I shaking?
You're good, because we're just having conversations just like we always do. And that's
Like
the thing,
always. Yeah.
when the thing about the podcast is, I like to say this podcast particularly is a podcast for people who don't do podcasts, because I didn't want to do a podcast. You know what I mean? But here I
was gonna
am.
ask you that too. How did you open this for yourself?
This whole thing, that's a whole story. We can get into it later. I feel like I always tell them about it. So but long story short, a friend of mine wanted to start it, and she was like, you want to start it? And I was like,
Let's do it.
no. Actually. She's like, I think you'd be
Get off
great
my
at
chest.
it. And I was like, no, mad shy. I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
And long story short, she felt like it was something that I was supposed to do. We did a few episodes, and then she wanted to break up with me. And then I was like, all right, we'll do it on the podcast then,
It's like a taboo. It's like things that people don't want to talk about,
Yeah.
especially live.
Yes. And so
It's
that
behind the doors,
happens.
we'll talk shit.
Exactly. And exactly. But we did it in person
Yeah.
just to air it out. And then I had another co-host, and then we broke up as well. And then we did that also here live, which was cool too. And then since then it's been mine, but ours, because I share it with the people who I invite to come on.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people that I tend to select, or the people that tend to ask me to come onto the podcast, are just individuals who, like I said, wouldn't traditionally go on a podcast, but
It's a groundbreaker.
yeah, and it's a safe space. That's the goal, is to make it a safe space. And for those who come on, for myself, and for those who are listening, that's the goal. So that's how that ended up. But yeah.
True.
Yeah, so we were talking about our nicknames,
Lupita and Lucida.
and I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, here.
yeah.
I'm I feel like I can't hear myself.
When you hear that, then you just got to go closer to it.
Go
You could
closer.
call it kissing the mic.
Right here.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good. Yeah. And I'm over here, I'm always turning my head. So when I turn my head, I try to go this way, because
Closer.
if not, then you won't hear it. If you hear me from here, it sounds further.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, we were just unpacking our nicknames for each other. I actually forgot the story, and Adrian was telling me.
It was so wild If you know bootlegs,
If you know bootlegs.
you know that going there never ends well.
Oh, God.
So,
Well, it doesn't exist anymore.
I'm fluent in Spanish, but Ashley has broken Spanish. But when she's drunk, she has conversations in Spanish. So the first time I heard her talking to the cab driver, I was like, am I in the cab with like the right person? I was like, am I that drunk that everything sounds like Spanish? I really thought, I'm like, am I hearing? Like, am I delusional? Like, what's happening? And she's talking, and like, the funniest thing, it was a Dominican driver, and they talk very fast, and you were answering faster.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, girl, I know you went to Colombia for like a year, but like
few months.
Colombians talk like they want to cry.
We talk slower. Yeah, we do.
So I'm like, how is she keeping up with her broken Spanish with this Dominican guy? And he was like, oh, where you guys going? And then you're like keeping up, and I'm like processing, and I'm like, where did this person come from? Like, are we with the same people? Like, is this really happening? Am I that drunk that her English sounds Spanish to me? And she's speaking Spanish and Puerto Rican. Spanish and English.
I'm weak. Oh my God.
They're like, oh, Mexicans speak like they're singing. Colombians speak Spanish like they're fucking crying. And then they're like, Puerto Ricans speak Spanish and English.
And Dominicans speak Spanish like they're running.
Like they're running. That you were running.
Oh,
so we're like,
goodness.
girl, like you were not Ashley. You were like Lucida.
And that's how that happened.
Yeah.
You know? So then every time, like, you know, like I have an occasion. I'm not like a big drinker or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do, like apparently I speak fluent Spanish.
She
so
speaks fluent.
so then that's
Spanish.
why we call my
Alter ego.
drunk alter ego Lucida,
Lucida.
and then Lupita
Lucida.
is the right hand because
Yeah.
you know that's how it goes. So we had a few other instances that happened, and then that name just stuck. You
It
know,
just stuck.
So,
We're like, oh, I don't have Ashley. I have Lucida. This is Lucida right now.
yeah, and that's just funny, man, because it's like I forgot that was such a memory, and when you brought it up for me, I'm like, oh snap, like that is what happened.
That's exactly how it happened.
Because it's like when I was living in Colombia, you know, my cousins were always like, you know, like you can speak Spanish, like why are you so shy? And I'm like,
see,
oh, I'm so shy, like you know, I felt like I would get crippled by my shyness, like I was so afraid to say something wrong, you know, like the perfectionist, and then like also like I don't know, I just like when people speak in Spanish sometimes I just stop listening because I'm like, well, if I listen and I don't know, I feel dumb. And if I don't listen, then I don't have the opportunity to like not feel dumb. You know, obviously if someone's talking to me directly, of course I'm doing my best to listen. But if people are having a conversation, like I won't tune in, you know? And
But you understand it.
I can, yeah.
You
Like I
understand
can,
it, yeah.
for sure. It's like if I get out of my own head, for sure. And I think that's what alcohol does sometimes. It's just like kind of gets you out. Yeah, like you're not so like hyper fixated and like, you know, things like that. But you know, alcohol is interesting. It definitely does a thing. You know,
Very interesting.
definitely does a thing. But I don't think that it really puts anything there that doesn't exist. I think it just enhances things or, you know, exalts things or puts things in a certain way. So, you know, that's that. But to get into the topic, yeah. So, you know, I asked you a question. I was like, what is your view on rebounds? And before we get into that, I just want to kind of pull up the definition that I had read about rebounds.
Okay.
And
like the actual.
Yeah. So the definition for rebounds, from what I've gathered and from what I understand and believe, is that, you know, a rebound is when, in a relationship specifically, is when you exit a relationship and then you are like still hurting and not healed from that relationship, and then you get involved in something else. And usually it's in like a short time, you know, usually it's like, but sometimes it could be long. Like you could still be healing from a relationship for months and then like get into and get into a relationship with somebody else, and that could still be considered a rebound. I think it's just a matter of like us being really honest with ourselves. Like, okay, am I like, do I feel good enough to like move forward? And it's not like we'll never fully be healed from anything really. Like, but Yeah, like, but you can be honest with yourself. Only you can really know when you're like ready to move on and things of that sort. And like some people have a view that it's very quickly, and some people have a view that it's like, you know, for a long time. And I think that, you know, as much as I have my own opinion on it, I think that, you know, everybody has a different experience, and I don't want to minimize anyone's experience, you know. But yeah, so I asked you, and yeah, if you want to explain your answer.
Well, like I told you, and in the voice memo, I was like, I really think that a rebound is a space holder. I think that some people are not comfortable with being alone, so they want somebody to kind of lean on and be with while they're hurting and healing. Like that's how some people heal.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Everybody heals and deals with things differently, but you're also like opening the door and hurting other people on the way on your healing process when they have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I really think it's like a space holder for the person that they really want to be with.
Yeah.
You know, like in the back, they're thinking about somebody, but they just don't want to be alone. They're just not comfortable with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that looks different for everybody, you know? I feel like sometimes it's interesting because it's like I truly believe that we play a part in what we attract, who we attract, right? So like, you know, a part of me is like, how could you knowingly get into a rebound relationship? Like if you're the person who isn't coming out of rebound, or maybe you're coming out of a rebound too, because, you know, like attract likes. Exactly. Yeah. You know, like attracts like. So it's like, I think in my head, I'm like, how would you like, you know, be able to navigate that? Like, not that I have never been in either of those positions, because I've been on both ends. I've been a rebound to somebody. I've rebounded people. Yeah. You know, and it's like, but every time I was in denial of it. Like every time I was in denial of it. I'm like, no, I actually like this person. What do you mean? Like, I'm over this other person. It's like, it's been 10 minutes. Like,
are you sure?
Are you really?
Are you sure?
Like, you know, even like a week, a month, like a few months, like for me personally, it takes time. It really does. And I feel like anytime that I've like been like, oh, well, it was like 3 months, so it was like fine. Or it was like, you know, a month, 2 months. Like I look back at it and I'm like, was I really fine?
I had no business moving on.
And the only time I ever felt like I was fine was when it wasn't like a serious relationship.
Forced.
Like, yeah, like when I exited a relationship that I probably should have never been in the first place, and I didn't realize it, but I realized it after. Then, yeah, I've seen like a little bit of space. But even so, I could have definitely benefited from being alone longer. You know, I feel like I have constantly tricked myself in my head to think that I was over things that I wasn't. And once I've just been like really honest with myself, I'm like, yo, like, dude, like, I don't got interest in like any of it right now. Like
I was telling you too, like on the phone, I was like, sometimes you have to be comfortable with being alone and healing alone. You know, a lot of people can't do it.
Yeah.
Some can, but some can't.
Yeah.
You know, like, you've come so far. Like, you know, when you told me like, oh, I took myself on a date, and I'm like, wow, like that's ballsy.
Yeah, and that was way back when. That was when that was the first year that I went to Philly. That was the year before you.
Yeah. And I wasn't working with you anymore.
So that was right before. That was right before you started working with me, I'm pretty sure. Unless it was right after.
Probably.
It was one or the other. But it was like around that time frame. Yeah.
Like I couldn't
be
there.
It was like 5-6 years ago. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm like, who you with? And you're like, I'm by myself. I'm like, wow. Like ballsy. Yeah. Like it takes a lot to be comfortable with that. Yeah. To be in your own process.
I just like took my little book. You know what I mean? I just feel like, I just took my little book and I was just like, I want to, instead of like waiting for somebody to give me like what I actually want, like I want to give it to myself. You know what I mean? Like I want to give it to myself so that like I don't want anybody to,
like, what do you want to eat? Like, no, what do you want to eat?
Well, that helps too, because then
I'm taking myself here.
Exactly. It's like you don't gotta ask anybody. Like I got myself a nice steak dinner. You know what I mean? And that's what I wanted. You know, and it was nice. It felt really good to do that. And you know, I encourage anybody I think you should still take yourself on dates even when you're with somebody. Like, you'd be
course.
locked in marriage. I still think that you should take yourself out on dates. But I think that it's looked at as such taboo. Like, people are so fearful of like,
Oh, why are you by yourself?
why are you sitting by yourself?
Mhm.
You know, like, I
A
went
table
to,
for one.
yeah, and they're like, just one? I'm like, yeah, just one.
Yeah, just one.
Just me. You know, and it's like, especially I think the movie theaters, people get really freaked out with. I went to go see The Joker by myself. Like, that was
You
interesting.
must look crazy.
I definitely did, but it was a good one for me to see. Like, I was mad emotional. It's a very emotional movie.
It is.
I was like there, like ugly crying and just looking around, like eating my popcorn. I'm
Like,
like,
Arthur.
it was so good. I actually really need to rewatch
Yeah.
that. But yeah, like, not everyone has the ability to. Like, I didn't always have that ability. You know, I didn't always. I was afraid of how people would perceive me. You know, when I was younger, and like, I mean, still now, like everybody is, right? But like, it's manageable now because I talk to myself, and I'm like, you're good. Like, you know why
Yeah.
you're here. You know what you're doing.
The voices in my head are like, "This, you're fine.
You're fine. Like, there's plenty of content here. Like,
Yeah,
we could
that's
just
it.
we could just talk with ourselves.
Yeah, Gio would be like, because like when I'm like cooking or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no, this doesn't go here. He's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to myself.
Yeah,
And he's like,
talking
oh,
to
you're
the-
crazy.
You're talking to the whole crew, like,
Yeah.
you know, the different aspects. The one that's like the culinary chef, the one that's like trying to keep it together, thinking about the plan
Should
for
I put
things tomorrow.
rosemary? No, not today. Let's put something else in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would notice. He'd be like, oh, did you do something different with the rice? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why? He's like, oh, I know. I'm like, yeah, see, the voices. The voices. They told me.
Yeah, and it's like those different versions of ourselves. They'll tell us great things, and sometimes they don't tell us that good of things. And it's like up to us to like pick and choose what part and aspects of ourselves that we want to feed, you
Mhm.
know. And that looks different every day. That looks different for every person. And you know, I think that in that process of like, you know, you break up. Breaking up is a lot. Like, it takes tolls on people, and like, it does a lot of things. And then, you know, you're trying to feel good, right? And then we live in a society where everyone's like, yeah, go out and drink and like fuck that person and like
Socialize.
fuck this person and like, you know, all these different things. And it's just like, you know, I'm not trying to condemn that and say that that's like wrong. I just feel like that
It's
doesn't
fun
work
for
for
some
me.
time, but
yeah.
like not the whole time.
Yeah.
Like not for the long term.
Some
And it's
people
not
need to
healthy.
socialize. Yeah, some people need to
Also.
socialize, and it's like, but like to like do it, like to like push it on, and then also like people need to have their own boundaries where they're like, you know, like I don't feel good, like I actually just want to stay in, because I know for myself, if I want to stay in and I go out, I'm asking for trouble. Like
Yeah.
I'm asking for
That's what I
trouble.
was gonna tell you. I'm like, but you're not a person that actually likes to go out.
Yeah,
But like, it's either like there's no half-ass. It's
Yeah.
either you're staying in or you're
or I'm
going
committing
out.
to going out. Yeah,
You're
I'm just
going
committing to
out.
it
Like,
fully.
Like, should I call out of work already for Saturday, because we're not gonna go out for 2 hours. Like, we're
Nah,
not.
It's gonna be the whole night.
It's gonna be the whole night.
Yeah.
Like, we would stay. I think the longest we saw like a sunrise.
There's been plenty of sunrises, girl.
We were like, we're in bootlegs, and we had to go all the way to South Beach, and we are like, let's just like sit here and like smoke a cigarette and watch the sunrise. We just like sat in silence
Oh, you mean when we were at the pier?
at the pier.
Not
Mhm.
South Beach, it was
That's-
Edgewater. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Uh-huh,
that one. And we
Oh
just
my
sat there
God, that
in
night was-
silence.
That was a whole thing.
In silence, and I think you don't want to be in your headspace, so you're like, I
Mhm.
just like want something with like loud music. I don't want to think. Just want to dance. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, where are we gonna go? Bootlegs. Like, oh, that was not the best choice. But
That was the best option we had, and I
For
loved
Staten Island,
bootlegs. Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like bootlegs was always my favorite place. Like, really, like it was the only place you could really dance on Staten Island.
yeah.
No one was really dancing anywhere else.
Back then, what was it, like Big Nose Kate's?
Oh yeah, but that was on the other side. I don't know.
It's very far. Yeah. Like, no, we
Yeah.
want we want to go here.
Yeah, we want to go there.
Yeah.
That was like our thing. Or like I would come out to Queens,
Kidnap.
literally.
That was like a 2-day stay.
Yeah, usually. I feel like a lot of times too, like I would be like, girl, I'm going through it.
I'm going to Queens.
I'm coming to Queens.
I
You
still
know?
have, I still have like the photos of like our toe hugs. We would just like cuddle, like,
Oh my
but like
God.
cuddling wasn't enough. We had a toe hug.
It was a tug.
It's a toe hug to seal it.
Oh my goodness, what a time, what a
Yeah.
time. Like that, you know, it's just like, it's interesting because it's like when you're coming out of, especially like a lot of those times, like I was like coming out of relationships or situationships, whatever the case is, or like one really long one that I was having a lot of things happen with. And, it was like, you want to be out and want to socialize because, like, for me personally, something that I have noticed about myself is that in relationships, like, I could become very consumed and, like, I'm very involved, and it's like,
you drop the world.
Yeah, like, in a big way. Like, I forget about myself.
Yep.
And, like, whether someone's asking me to do it or not. Yeah, Liz, I'm growing. Okay. Like, and
we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there, and it's like, I know a lot of people are like that. I know a lot of women are like that specifically, and it's like, we'll put our significant other before anyone or anything else
in the world.
And it's like, we can't always do that, because, like, who's going to, like,
be there for you.
Us. Like, and it's like, yes, ideally the person, but also, like, if they're centering, it's a different way.
It's a different way.
You need to, like, have that support system within yourself. So it's like, okay, I'm immediately out of a relationship or, like, out of a fight or, like, whatever. And then you're like, yeah, like, I'm going to go out. And it's like, that's cool. You know what I mean? It's cool for a little bit. Like, even, like, specifically if you're really just going to dance, like, if you're really just going to do that, like, I know for me, like, I'm really not big on, like, casual interactions. Like,
You'll go for like an hour. Like, I need to leave.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to go home. I'm on my bed. I'm on my bed.
Are you staying or?
I'll just be like drinking water in the corner. Like, I'm gonna go home. And like, it's like I fake go out. Like, no, I do. I go out. Like, when I do, I really do commit to it.
Yeah, like I said, like, there's no half-ass.
Yeah, no.
It's either you're committed or you're not going out.
I mean, sometimes I really just dip though. Like, that's different. Like, I feel like in the more recent years, because like I just like it's not a priority for me to go out, but like simultaneously, if I go out, I want to dance. Like, that's my thing. Is like, I want to dance or I want to smoke hookah and like have a conversation with one of my friends. Like, those are my two things. Like, I'm not the type of person, I don't want to just go to like a dive bar and that no one's dancing in, and like I don't really care to whether I'm drinking alcohol or not. Like, I just like to, I feel like there's something, I've been talking about this a lot, like with one of my really close friends and sisters, and like and then another one of my friends, like we were talking about how like dancing makes a big difference. Like, when you, especially when you're going through stuff, like, it's like you're breaking up the trauma in your body. You're clearing it out. Like, it's or else it gets stagnant and sticky and you don't want to move. I noticed that when I don't dance in a while, I get stiff. Like, and then I dance and I'm embarrassed because I'm like, oh, now I'm stiff. I don't know how to dance no more. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But then, like, for example, I did my Zumba, which I love my Zumba. Shout out to Elva. Like, that's the good sis. And like, Zumba is my favorite workout. Like, I love Zumba so much. It
doesn't even feel like a workout.
It doesn't, and it's mad fun. Like, and when I did it last week, like, at first I was like, I don't remember the dances. I'm trying to remember them, and I'm feeling stiff. And then by like the second song, I was like, not even the second song, by like the first song, I was just like in it. You know what I mean? I was just like fully committed. We're like in the park, just like swinging around. You know what I mean? And it was really good because I was like, damn, like, I remember
and
the first time.
Like, notice that, like, that's something you did for yourself.
Yes.
And I always, like, whenever we touch base and we talk about anything, I'm always like, Ashley, sometimes it's okay to be selfish.
Yeah.
It's okay to put yourself
told me that.
first. Because you matter. Yeah. Like, yes, you could be consumed in any space, any relationship or situationships, whatever you want to call it. But I'm like, but you have to, like, do what makes you happy first. And then, yes, your significant other. Like, you have to be prioritized.
You got to get yourself right. Yeah.
Like, yourself. Because you can't also be in a relationship for someone else's benefit. Yeah. You know, like, what makes them happy. But, like, who's going to check up on you? Yeah. You know, like, even me, like, with my husband, I'm like, Gio, like, I take care. When everybody's sick, I'm like, tea, soups, everything, you know? But when I'm sick, she was like, do you want me to order you a chicken noodle soup or something? And I'm like, no, I want you to make it. Make it for me. From scratch. Exactly. Egg noodles.
Go get the chicken.
Go get it. No Panera. You make it. If Gio, you're listening, you know. He's like, you better not talk about me. I'm like, I'm talking about you.
It's real. It's part of the podcast. You know, it's like, I have a hard time when it, like, this is something that's been coming up for me recently is like, you know, like, I have this platform, right? And the way that I do these podcasts is I decide to have someone on, or they inquire, whatever the case is. And then like a week before, sometimes a few days, sometimes 2 weeks.
And this was so sudden.
This was sudden. But like, and it was organic because like what ended up happening usually, like I pick a person and then we talk on the phone or in person, whatever.
You talk about a topic you want to touch base on. Okay.
Yeah, or it'll be like, what is a theme that's coming up for you in your life, you know? And then once we find a common vein, then we are like, okay, boom, let's stop talking about it. Let's just talk about it on the podcast. So it's organic because it's live. Like, so obviously we want a flowing conversation.
Yeah.
Because I've had in the beginning, I used to pick topics and like, sometimes when the actual episode would come around, it's like, I don't even feel like I want to talk about it. Like, it's not relevant anymore. Yeah. So to evade that, I kind of created this system organically and like, which is great.
It is great.
Because it's present, you know what I'm saying? But simultaneously, it's extremely vulnerable. You know, it can feel extremely like seeing because it's present. Like, you know, Lori is number one to know, like after these podcasts, like sometimes I call her and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm like, I talked about this. I'm so nervous. Like, I should delete my whole podcast. I guess, like, so anxious. Yeah, because it's like.
And, like, right now, like, this topic, it's actually, like, perfect because it's two different point of views. You know, like, you're 100% single. Like, you know, the dating scene.
Yeah.
And I'm married. And, like when you're going through something and you call me and you're like, hey, what do you think? I think I'm like spiraling, or because you're like, when you react to something, if you know Ashley, you know her. She goes in with her whole chest. She will let you know exactly how she feels. And I would be like, I can't believe you just did that. I can't believe you just said that. Like, it takes a lot in me to, like, actually say what I really want to say. Because, like, that's how we're opposites. Like, if you feel it, it's like word vomit. And I'm just like, I can't say it. I can't do it.
And, like, people look at me and they're like, you're so bold and you're so brave. And, like, I'm like, sometimes
I'm having a meltdown.
I'm like, sometimes it's too much. Like, sometimes I could, like, live without being this courageous. Like, I should just keep some of that in.
Yeah, because then, like, you'll say it and then you're like, you would call me, like, I think I overdid it. And I'm like, you can't untake what you just said.
I'm like, yo, especially over the years,
it's like, done, it's said, and deal with it. Deal with the consequences. And that's it.
You know, I have to say the growth, though, man, because, like, it used to be so much fun.
I would hold her hostage in my house because I'm like, if you leave this house, you're going to jail. Like, she would be, like, trembling, vibrating, furious. And I'm like,
I feel everything. Right here. I feel everything all very deeply. You know what I mean?
No, like that. Like, you know, that, like that movie, like everything, everywhere, all at once.
You're the second person who said this to me, and I need to watch this movie. Because, like, you're like, no. I need to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, I need to watch it. I'm going to do that.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah. All right, remind me, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's you. And I would be like, I held you down. Like, physically held her down. And I'm like, you're not leaving my house.
Well, that was a particular situation.
If you leave here, I'm like, you're going to go to jail. And I'm like, I don't
Allegedly.
And I'm like, and I love you. And for your safety, for my peace of mind, I'm like, you're just going to stay here. Because that was traumatic.
That was very traumatic. Like, that was a very traumatic time.
Like, you know, I was like when I talked to, like, to Gio, I was like, you know, your breakups are traumatic. I live it through you. They traumatize me.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm like, what the hell? Glad it ain't me.
And it's like, I think it's just because I'm like, you know, I'm an intense person. I feel like in the past few years, I've been definitely finding nuance and like just what a gray area is. I feel like even recently, you know, like I already mentioned on the last podcast that, you know, like in the process of the breakup that I'm in right now is like, you know.
Are you sweating?
No. I am actually.
Don't be shy
because it's so vulnerable, bro. Like it's like, all right, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, like it's. I feel like there is a nuance and there is like, a gray area, and like in that I've been so uncomfortable because it's so much easier to like be like, you did me so wrong, like. I'm out. And it's like when it's not like that and you're like, oh, okay, like this isn't working out, like, but then you have to stand on that. Like it without without the like forcefulness of like, yo, like this is innately wrong. I need to respect myself. Like when it's not like that, when it's not so cut and dry, I feel like it's harder. I mean, at least for me, because like, you know, anger has been such a motivator to get me to do things in life, like, and hurt and trauma have been such a motivator.
Am I a therapist or am I your best friend right now?
I can't. Oh my God. Yeah, no, I'm like
you're sweating. I thought I was the guest. Should I start questioning you? You're like, please don't.
Please don't.
Please.
I don't know what questions you're gonna ask me. But
actually, let me pull up my notes.
No. Girl, put that phone down. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like I feel like, you know, finding the nuance of just like things not being so, you know, black or white. When what looks like in the gray area. I feel like that's just where I'm at in my life right now. Is like there's a gray area. Like,
and how do you sit with that?
I have to accept it. That's really how I sit with it. I need to accept it, like, as much as I want to resist it, because, you know, there's an innate part of me that has been so accustomed to extremes and that has found, you know, comfort in extremes, that now when I'm moving through things with grace, like the thing about it is like it doesn't make it easier. And I keep on saying that in each of one of the, I keep on talking about.
Do you believe it?
Do I believe what?
That it doesn't make it easier?
Moving things with grace. I don't believe it makes it easier when it's happening. I think it does innately make it easier in the long run, because then you're actually accepting something as it is, rather than being like a totalitarian. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in, you know, recent times, you know, like when, you know, it's like there's some things that have gotten triggered by, you know, and when I had gotten triggered by them, it kind of invoked
I like to zoom in on you. Like, keep on.
I
think that got you nervous. You're zooming. There we go.
No, Getty. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like I feel like when I had gotten triggered, you know, sometime recently, that like I just seen this aspect of myself, and I seen that like I wanted a reason to be angry so that I can continue to move forward, because I didn't know if I could.
I feel like that's the only way you know.
Yeah.
To be angry sometimes. Not all the time.
More comfortable with it.
Yeah. You're either, I'd rather be angry than to deal with it and cry. I'm sure you do behind doors, but you always like have a wall, you know, and it's like, if you know Ashley, you know, like for her to like let you in her feelings, it takes a lot.
You know, I feel like people don't think that of me, though. I feel like some people think that
how open do they know you?
Yeah, I feel like people,
do they know you like I know you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think so.
You're offended.
I don't
You're
think
like,
so.
no, they don't.
No, the best friend. We collide. We actually headbutt.
Oh, Fort
and, you know, we think stronger.
Yeah.
So
that's how we charge up.
Yeah, that's how we charge up. like Rams.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I feel like, you know, once I realized that like that part of me was getting like invoked, I was like, bro, like you need to like, this is not even you anymore. Like this is not even you. Like this isn't even, and this isn't what you want to embody. Like how much healing how much work and time have you been putting onto your healing for you to like throw it out the window for it to be easier? It's like the path of most resistance, but that has always been easier instead of the path of least resistance, because like for whatever reason, I feel like, you know, I'm not alone in that, and a lot of people go through that experience, and I'm just grateful that, you know, when you go through the different things, especially when it comes to relationships and stuff, and like actually finding the healing, like it's just like the best thing I could have ever gifted myself is just really being honest with myself. Like I always think I'm being honest with myself, because I'm very honest, but there's layers.
I feel like you would heal by saying what you think people want to hear. And now you're like this new Ashley that you are, beautiful in and out.
Thank you.
You're not scared to ruffle a couple feathers.
Yeah.
If it hurts you, it
For
hurts
sure.
you.
For sure.
But it's easy. It's better for you, and it's better for that person. Like, right back to rebounds.
Yeah.
You cannot depend or use somebody just for you.
Yeah.
Because you're breaking a heart.
Yeah. You're hurting somebody,
you're
and you're
hurting
hurting
someone
yourself
else.
because you're thinking about that other person while you're with them.
You're hurting yourself, and you're hurting others.
Yeah.
And
only you can know. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, people could speculate or feel how they feel, but, like, you'll know when you're in something, when you're, like, looking at that person and, like, you actually want to be spending time with another person. And I feel like that just amplifies and gets, like, stored and suppressed, and then that shows up in really weird ways. And when you're not honest about it, like, it takes control of you. Yeah, like, it kind of takes control of you. Like, if for people who can have casual sex or like casual hookups or whatever the case is, like, maybe a rebound is something like, if it's not like long term. Yeah, maybe if you just wanted to go out and do something, or like, that's to somebody sometimes, like, if that's your thing, like, that's your thing. Like, I personally don't, it's not my thing. You know what I mean? Like, it would do more harm to me than good for me to like be.
It's intimacy.
Yeah.
And you're letting somebody in.
Literally, it's the most intimate thing you could possibly do is have sex. So, like, I don't want to do that with just anybody, personally.
You actually, like, what is it called? Like a soul tie, like with certain people. And like, you don't know the energy that they have.
Absolutely.
You don't know what you're exchanging.
Yeah, if y'all listening to this and this is, like, resonating, definitely go to the episode STD, sexually transmitted demons, and definitely tap into that one, because that's like, we
it's an
explain
energy
a lot.
Exchange.
Absolutely, it's an energy exchange, and like, I'm just a person who's super sensitive and porous to energy. That, like,
you can walk in a room, and if there's somebody negative, you'll feel it. You literally would be vomiting.
Yeah,
like purging.
Yeah, no, it's like annoying, but yeah, like, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Like, everyone has gifts. Mine's just hypersensitivity, and like some other people can resonate with that and also have that. And it's taken me a long time to be able to ground that and not let it control me too, because it definitely did for a while, because I didn't know what to do with it. And like, shout out to my teacher who really like showed me how to ground that in a really good way over the past years. It's like, getting back to like that aspect of like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to like step out of something and step right into something and like rebound and like know you're doing it, and like
knowing, like,
yeah,
everybody knows.
It like exactly. It like reminds me of like
intentions.
You remember when we're like teenagers and you see people like they broke up one day and then like the next day with somebody else.
Like,
yeah, and
girl,
it's like
you move fast.
yeah, and it's like that stuff like but like people live their whole lives doing that.
Like touching back on that. In high school or younger days, and you just broke up with somebody, and then the next day, like you said, like being seen with somebody, it's like a young mindset, because you're like, I don't want to look dumb.
Yeah,
I don't want to walk in by myself.
Dumb.
You look dumber.
Like, yeah, and it's like also
like now you look dumber.
Getting into side pieces, a lot of the times that's your plan B. Like that person has been your plan B.
Like that's like when I talk to like Gio, he'll be like, when there's a breakup and the first person to move on right away, that person been there. Yeah, that person is in line. Yeah. They're just waiting for like that checkout.
They're waiting for that opportunity. It's like exactly. They're like, boom, oh, here I can just slide through. Chance.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like they're just waiting. Like, and that's what Jill would be like. Oh, that's basically like emotional cheating, because you're giving somebody this time.
You're giving someone this time and space, that energy, to even think that they could occupy that space and also think that they can move in so quickly. And it's like, even if that,
like, that's how you'll know in a breakup. Like that's how you'll know if you had questions. That's how you'll know.
Yeah, it's interesting because some people can't even see it like that, because I think that it's just people just acting out of like what feels good in that moment and not thinking about it like long term or like where it could be coming from, not questioning themselves why. No. And I think that those are the situations in which
that's the whole situationship.
That's the situationships, and like I think that, I've had a really hard time with empathizing with like the people who would be the side pieces, I feel like I had a really hard time for a long time, like understanding like how could you be okay with that, but then simultaneously like I've talked to so many different people and I'm so grateful for that, and I've gotten to know so many different people, and like instead of just being a totalitarian, being a tyrant, and being a judge, like being super judgmental and critical, just being like, oh, like you didn't actually feel yourself like worthy. Okay, like all right, you know, and like listening
People believe
to
their
them.
own lies.
Yeah. Or like think that, you know, that it like that they're better than the other person, like to get worthiness. Like, yeah, well, you're in a relationship, but like they're paying attention to me. Like there's people that thrive off of that energy. And like whether they're aware of it or not, you know, it's a thing that happens. And it's like I've just had a hard time with that, you know.
Same with it.
Yeah, I've had a hard time with just like people being that way. You know, I definitely like I empathize with it now and I can see it a little bit clearer. But you know, especially when you're a person that had like something like that happen to, like, you know, it's like, you know, if you're anything like me, like it's just like pure rage, you know, it's like it's hurt, it's pain. So it's like that could be triggering and stuff. But then I found a lot of healing talking to people that had that experience, but I actually really love them as a person. And I'm like, oh shit. So I can also have love for somebody who is in that position, you know. It was interesting.
Sure.
Definitely interesting. And I feel like, you know, there's another podcast that I did a while ago, and it was about, like, why do people cheat and things like that. And it's like, you know, I don't know if we really got into emotional cheating, but, like, that's, like, you know, and not to, like, go too much into, like, side pieces and stuff like that. It's just, you know, having someone waiting in the wind and like, and just knowing.
Bringing someone down with you.
Yeah.
With your pain.
Yeah.
It's selfish.
Like, it's also like, if that person's like that involved too, like to know like what you're doing, like why wouldn't they think that you would do it like that? Like, you know, my friend Lamar always said like you got to be careful how you get somebody because you could lose them the same way. I really live by that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How you meet them is how you lose them.
Absolutely. And like and that's made me hesitant to like say or do a lot of things in life, you know, because no matter how strongly I've felt towards people, I'm like, this isn't morally correct. Like I don't feel right about this. I don't feel right about like, you know, I'm not gonna actively pursue somebody, like even if they're like back and forth,
emotionally
or if they're
available.
involved with somebody in any spectrum. Like I just don't like that.
Respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I
But
guess
some people like that.
Yeah, but some people really do like that. And I guess that's just like whatever personal soup of trauma, whatever ingredients of trauma that made their trauma soup that way. You know, I don't know. You know, it's not for me to figure out. I think that like people just have their own experience with that. And it's like, I just pray that anybody, you know, that might be going through that, you know, to deem themselves worthy enough to know that like they don't have to be a second option. Like nobody has to be, it's not nice to be a second option.
It's not.
Like, and when you know it too, like
that's what I said. Like, and it sucks. I
how
mean,
could
we all
you?
Been there.
Yeah,
you know, nobody. You don't want to be second best. So,
I don't even let people in my life be second. Like I mean, second to me, yes,
it's either
but like
you're first
or you're not in my
interested.
life. Yeah, I have to make those clear boundaries because I won't let people like break their heart over me without my like you know.
If you're not there.
If I'm not there, like I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm not there. You know what I mean?
I
and
can't
that
give you what you want.
hurts. Yeah, like that could hurt, but like at the same token, like, you know, it's just the honesty rather than like, you know, either like leaving space for any imagination or fantasy or like whatever that like, you know, we all have our fantasy world in our head. And if we don't like check it, then it becomes, you know, there's so many people that like we're all guilty of it, like looking at people and imagining like, oh, what it would be like. Oh, I would treat them so much better. Oh, they deserve this. You know, I
was treated like this. I'm gonna treat you like that.
Yeah,
but not everybody deserves it.
Yeah, and it's also in your head. Like it's different when it's actually manifested. You know, because then you look at it, and that's why I think that a lot of people, they think that they want to be with you, but then they don't actually accept the reality of what it is to be with you, and then you're left feeling like you have to modify yourself because like you like it feels like you're doing something too much or you're not doing enough.
You're not giving them the real you, the real version of you. You
because
give them
you're tailoring
what you think they want.
Exactly, and it happens subconsciously, and that's the thing that people like you know, you hear about people pleasing and things like that. It's like,
but it just happens.
It's just happening.
It's so quick to judge somebody.
You tend to realize when you turn around and then you're like,
that it's you. You did it too. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
you realize it after the fact, and like it's really like
it's like, you know, like
a journey.
Oh, I want to eat here. Like, no, I want to eat this. I'm like, you know what? I was thinking that. Like, no, now you just like people pleasing. Like your significant other.
Without like me too. Without the energy of like, oh, like you don't have your own personality. Yeah,
like you could choose yourself and be selfish. It's okay. There's no judgment for it. There's nothing wrong with being first.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's you first. You know, who's going to take care of you? You know, we're adults. Back then when we were younger, you know, we had mommy to, like, nurture us. But, like, now we're, like, it's us.
Yeah.
And if we're not there to mentally check ourselves and put ourselves first, then who will?
Yeah.
You know, like you said, it gets so lost.
It gets so confusing, you know, and it's like, you know, like even for me, like, although like I've had like people pleasing tendencies and I've definitely like morphed myself in certain relationships at different times of my life, certain degrees, like, you know, and like simultaneously, like I'm so myself that like if I want something, I'm gonna say what I want. Like I'm very much so like I stand on exactly what I want. Yeah. You know, so like that could also be problematic and people aren't like okay with that all the time either. But like if they're not, you have to know that that's not your that might not be your person either, might not be your people either. If like if you saying and stating what you really feel you want is like constantly a problem, like that is not respecting boundaries or desires or like actually like want like the fulfillment of it, you know. So it's like rather than dragging it out
in a relationship empty, like you're just there for a companionship.
Yeah, and it's like I don't like for me I don't need companionship. Like I'm good with being by myself. Like I'm okay with being by myself.
That's what I'm telling you. Like that's why it's okay to be alone.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason to drag somebody in the mud with you. If you're not in the space to date or you're not in the space to go in a relationship, you know? Because like I feel like you know, there's people that are like just relationship people. Yeah. Like there's like they break up and they'll be single, but like the person they're talking to, they'll go in a relationship. Like they're just not dating. Like it's we live together. Like no, wait, what? Yeah. Like no, like give it time.
And it happens fast. I feel like people are just reliving those cycles.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. And like I empathize with that because I've been that person.
I know.
You know,
that's why I mentioned it. Are you sweating?
But I've been that person, you know what I mean? And I've been that person where it's like, I get it. Like, I really understand when people are like, when they go through that phase. Cause it's like, for me, like, I feel like I always like trip into a relationship. Like, I'll be like just chilling and someone be like, I want to keep you. I'm going to make you believe you need me. Together. Give us 5 minutes. We're going to do it.
He's my husband. He just doesn't know it yet.
Oh my God. You know, I mean, I only ever lived with 2 people, but still like, you know, but like, I genuinely like, you know, with other things, like it's not getting consumed, you know, and just slowing down the pace. And I feel like, you know, I've been talking to a lot of people recently that have just been going through breakups and like have been actively trying not to rebound, even though they want to rebound. Some people rebounding off the rip, like boom, like 10 times worse.
Time right now.
It's apparently not. And on top of it, today is a solar eclipse, y'all. Like this is not, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what it is the time and it isn't time. I'm just going to suggest like, you know, it's like you need to either let go or you're going to be dragged. And, like, I'm just so done with being dragged when I know to let go of things. Like, I need to just let go. Like, I just have a hard time letting go. Like, I used to always say, like,
now that you said, like, letting go, also, healing could also be going back to your significant other that you guys needed space to outgrow and grow each other. Like, you know? So, are you sweating again?
I'm not sweating.
It's a light. How do you feel about that? Like going, because a lot of people don't understand that sometimes your ex could also be a rebound.
Yeah.
Because it's just what's comfortable.
For sure. That's a thing.
It's just what's comfortable.
That's definitely.
So, you know, you just get consumed. Yeah. And you just don't even see it. You don't even know it. And you're just right back.
Yeah, and it'll just happen super fast. Like it'll just happen super fast. Like before
change the topic.
Like it'll just happen. It'll just happen fast. Like, you know, I know you were expressing to me like somebody that you know is going through something like that.
I'm telling you, everybody's going through a breakup. Everybody.
I just think time will tell with everything. You know what I mean?
Right person,
I think
wrong time.
Yeah, that could be the case with certain people. And then, like, with other people, it just might not be a thing. Like, sometimes, like, there's just no coming back. Like, sometimes people don't want to put the energy or the effort into it. Like, and I understand that. Like, you know, it's like you can only go so far, but you can't force anything. Like, you can't force anything. Like, if you decide, like, okay, we're going to break up, And then, like, there's a forcefulness of, like, nah, we have to get back together. Or, like, even if you do interact, you know, and it's like, we have to get back together. It's like, but, like, it took so much. Like, I know at least for me, if I break up with somebody, it literally took me so much to get to that point. You know what I mean? So it's like,
because you're such, we could get through it. We could work this out. It's just temporary.
yeah.
And sometimes when you do let go, you let go and you don't look back.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like,
But like in the back burner, it's there. Like the thought.
And like, and that's the thing, like, you can't allow yourself to suppress things. And I think that's what happens with, like, healing relationships, right? Like, that's the third part of the title, right? Healing relationships is like, what that looks like to me, once again, is just like being radically honest with myself. And I feel like a lot of the people around me, that's how, like, they're healing the relationship. You can't heal a relationship with somebody else if you're not healing the relationship with yourself. Like, you need to heal that relationship with yourself in order for you to make sense and discern what you even want in a relationship. Like, if you don't know what you want in a relationship, then why are you in one? You know what I'm saying? If you don't know what you want in a relationship, then you know what to look out for. But simultaneously, you have to also know what you want and also know what is realistic, right? Because they're like, you know, I've been guilty of having, like, unrealistic expectations. And then I've also been guilty of having, like, no standards, too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, not no standards, but, like,
I'm like, wait,
close
what?
to none, you know? Because, like, it's like I just wanted bare minimum.
Yeah.
You know, communication and this and that and comprehension. It's not, and it is to some people. So, like, that's why I empathize.
Yeah. I mean, like
and
I
then
said,
I
like,
empathize too much.
That's why I said, like, there's two different point of views. Because, you know, with my husband, when we argue, which is rare, Gio, it's very rare. But, you know, and we have to just give each other space.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the
because
thing. Space is so important.
I'll just go upstairs and he'll be downstairs. And then, I don't know, because, like, my husband, like, we could get in an argument and he'll just, like, go play Call of Duty. I'm like, you don't even care. You don't even care. You don't even care about my feelings. Yeah. So, and then that would prolong the argument. Yeah. I'm like, now I'm
because, like, you're not even affected by this. Like, I can't even breathe air correctly, and you're just, like, ready to go to sleep. Like, I'm just trying to understand. Yeah. You don't care at all.
Like, yeah. So I'm just like, you don't care. And he's like, what? It's like, he'll be like, Adriana, if I go upstairs and try to talk to you, you're gonna be like, get out. He's like, so I'm like, but I want you to try. I want to tell you get out.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's just
give me that. Let me tell you off. I want to argue, and like, I just want some little bit of dramatic, like, effects here and there. Yeah. And then I'm like, this is, like, you know, when we make the joke, like, this is too healthy. Yeah. I need a little drama. Like, this is way too healthy, because it gets like that.
It does. You know? And, like, also, it's like, I don't know, like, for me, at least at this point in my life, like, I'm so good off of all of that. Like, I'm so good off of all that. Like, I just feel like there's always things going on in the world that's more than enough to fill whatever that pocket is. And it's like, I just want peace. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't have peace in a partnership in a certain light, like, you know, I might have it in one area, but not in another. Like, it's just like, I'm not, you know, I'm still young, but I'm not that young anymore. And it's just like,
to play games? No.
Yeah. And
to know what you want? Yeah.
If my central nervous system is activated constantly because I feel like I'm not receiving something, it doesn't mean that the person isn't enough. It means that we're just not compatible at this time, you know? And, like, just being honest with yourself about that is just what you have to do, or else you're going to just consistently live in that space of stress. And, like, that causes people to do weird things, like things that you might not want to do. And it's like, that's, you know, that, like I said, the best part of my healing and just in healing relationships in general, like from the past, present, recent past, distant past, is like just going back to myself and just like nurturing the relationship I have with myself and being like, okay, well, what do you need? Like, I got you.
What do I want?
Yeah. Like, what do I want? What do I need? Like, that's what I'm focused on. You know what I mean? Like, even like recently there was something like that, like someone considered something and it's just like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want people. Like, I don't want anybody to be a space holder for me. I need to feel this pain. Yeah. I need to grieve this. I need to, like, give it space to be like, fuck, like, you wanted something to work and it didn't, but it's okay. because
Exactly.
you got you, and like there has to be a greater vision. And it's like, you know, a part of me is like a hopeless romantic, not a hopeless romantic, right? And then there's the other aspect, and then there's the other aspect where it's like I don't center it. Like I really don't, like I don't really care to like go out, but then when it's involved, I care too much. I get consumed. So like now,
that's how you are. There's no half-ass.
Yeah,
Like it's either everything or nothing. Did you just burn yourself on purpose?
I did. Nah, it was just like a intrusive thought that just took over. Of course it did. But yeah.
Oh, they can't see it.
They can over here probably. Oh no, they can't either.
Can't. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, did she just do what I think she did?
Yeah, I did. I just did my finger.
You were just like looking.
I just did my finger in the wax. I was just like, you know. But anyway,
memories. Anyone?
Anyway. I was just trying to get myself back here. There was nothing else to that. Anyway.
If you know, you know. And that's the perfect timing.
I might just want to hide in this teacup right now. Jeez, like I think you
watched.
had me sweating the most than anybody else that ever had on this podcast.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like,
Jesus.
I've watched your like on Instagram. I've been watching your videos, and I'm like, this is like the most nervous I've seen you.
Cause I'm vulnerable, dude. Like this shit is real.
Like you are.
Yeah, and it's like the only reason
like a little lip sweat, like right here. Like
yo,
a little bit.
Anyway,
it's cute. I love it.
All right.
It's really cute.
I just want to be honest with y'all. The only reason that I'm over here doing this, like, that, like,
here it comes,
is because, like, you know, like, am I benefiting from, like, being this uncomfortable up here? Like, I'm sure in the long term, probably. But, like, right now, you know, I'm just, the whole point of this podcast, not only this episode, but the podcast in general is, like, I'm just trying to be as real with y'all.
Because you're not the only one.
Exactly. Because whoever is going through any of these experiences and can relate, like, can feel seen, and that maybe, you know, have the courage invoked for them to do something or, like, or not do something or, like, think about it. Like, that's the whole purpose of this podcast, man. And I'm just, like, so, it's
okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And because it's, like, I'm not trying to come on here and be like talking shit about people or act like things don't faze me. Like it does. Like things faze me.
That's exactly how we got here.
Yeah.
Like it was just that one phone call.
The one phone call. And I'm like, yo, you're explaining shit better than I am. I think you should help people and me and come on here and share your
call in right now. FaceTime me if you have a question.
Yeah.
But I just think that I know what to say at the right time. In a good way.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Without bashing anybody, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a very bad texter and call back people, but like person. But when you called me, I'm like, oh, I have time. Let me talk. And we were on the phone for like 2 hours, just like chopping it up. And then you were just like, wow. Like, I need you on the podcast, and you need to tell people your insight or what they want to hear. Because, like, you know, like, there's friendships that they don't want to hurt feelings, and there's friendships that have to keep it 100% true. For the benefit of your friends, if you want them to strive and heal, if you really love that person, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Yeah. And I have to, as a friend, it's my job to tell you things how it should be said, how you should heal, how you should move forward. If, you know, at the end of the day, you're a grown-ass person. You could do whatever you want. Your choice.
It's the accountability. It's a love. It's genuine love.
But I'm like, care. Would I do that? No. You're bold.
Yeah.
You did what? Okay. Oh, we're back there? Okay. Okay, girl, I see you. But then.
Just being honest with myself.
Yeah. And then I think you play with your feelings a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, I listen. I gave them to Creator. I gave them to God. That's where I'm at right now. I gave my feelings to God, and I need to just focus on my business and to keep my feelings there. And that's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Like don't slide in my DMs. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at. Like for real. Like it won't be a good time. Like we could chat about life. No more than that.
That's
you know.
And that's that. And that's the tea.
Yeah, that's the truth. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at personally. It's like just not on that timing. And it's just like, but there's so much that had to happen for me to have the courage and bravery to do everything that has been done recently.
You know, like, if my friends are watching, I'm not saying names, but like I'm telling you, everybody's going through a breakup. Everybody is going through it, like, a lot. And, you know, I'm the only one in a healthy relationship. So they're like, what do you think I should do? Yeah. Should I go back to square one, or should I just close that chapter? Yeah. And it's been like in the cases, it has been very traumatic breakups that I'm just like, do you want to go back there? Because when you have a traumatic breakup and then you go back to that person, even though you say we're going to start from ground zero, you can't. It just happens so naturally that you bring back old things and fight. And it's like, why are you going to go back with somebody that you're just going to fight with? Yeah. Like, just move on. Yeah. No. Like, it's not.
What's the point of it? Because then you're just addicted to that. Yeah. You might as well just do that with another person.
Yeah. Truthfully, I think so. Because there's not going to be trust. There's not going to be any, how do you say it? Like, what's the word I was telling you on the phone? Like, if there's no trust, there's like, you forgive and forget, but you don't forget. And then you're going to be with somebody that you're going to keep on bringing back the past, and neither of you are going to move forward. Yeah. So why would anybody, and I say this to all my friends when they like ever ask me, I'm like, I don't think it's the right thing to go back to a person that it just didn't work out the first time. Like, yes, I get it when I even say it too, like, right person, wrong time. Yeah. But I just don't think it would work in my point of view. Yeah. It has worked out for some people. But
it would take a lot of work for it, depending on who like, and what situation.
Like, if you wanted to, you would. Yeah. If you want to, you would.
It's true.
You know, but both. Yeah. Both. Like, you
both
put
people
some
have
work,
to want
you put
to.
some work.
For sure.
You want this and you want this, then both of you, like, you don't bring this up, I don't bring this up. We're just gonna start from ground zero.
Like, really start fresh. Like, really completely start fresh.
That's the only way it would ever work out.
And that could only happen with time. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, that can only happen with time. Like, you can't force it, like, immediately after a breakup. Like, you have to have time. You have to understand how you really got there.
99% of the time you try again, it fails miserably, probably worse than the first time.
Yeah. And, like, especially, like, you know, I was a person that, like, in past situations, like, I couldn't let go of things. I mean, rightfully so. Like, you know, like, whatever. Like, it was intense. You know? I mean, traumatic. Life for me to heal from.
Emotional but, like, damage.
At the same token, it's like, well, if I wasn't being honest with myself. Like,
you thought you could move on.
I was trying to rush the healing process. I was like, well,
you're stubborn.
And some ways, and, like, you know, it's like I had this whole experience. I went this whole place, sat with this whole medicine, all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like,
I could do this.
I understand now, so that means I can forgive now. But you can't rush the process of forgiveness, because it's like your body stores it. So then you hate yourself, which is the last episode I just had. It's called Fuck You, Love You. And it's like you hate yourself for loving somebody. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, I did that at a certain time.
Like, you guys worded it perfectly fine. Like, you know, it always starts with I love you.
It always starts with I love you.
It always starts with I love you, and it always ends up.
Because fuck you isn't that serious if it's not love first, right? And it's just like, whatever, you guys. Yeah. But if it's like, fuck you, it's like, oh, you hurt me. You hurt my heart, you know? And
it hurts everything, like your ego.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. Yeah.
And, like, this is, like, a lot of things that I also see, like, with my friends, like, that go through breakups. They can't help but blame themselves. Like, what did I do?
Yeah, well, there's a foot in it. There's both.
I'm here. I'm watching from the outside. Like, you did nothing wrong. And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend and I met your significant other because of you, but you really didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah. Like, you know, if you were not emotionally ready and you voiced it out, then you voiced it out. Yeah. But, you know, you tried for that person. And that's why I'm like, you could be selfish. If you don't want to be with X, Y, and Z, then don't. because you're just bringing another person down with you.
Exactly. And that's why it's just exactly that part, just being honest with yourself. And that's like whether you're in a rebound.
Don't force yourself.
Some people are in rebound relationships for years and don't even realize it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's one person or it's cycles of other people, but like you still aren't past something with somebody. You know what I mean? It's like
you're with somebody, but like I really wish it was you. And it's like, no, that doesn't work like that. It doesn't benefit nobody. It doesn't benefit yourself.
It doesn't.
You force yourself, like I said, they believe their lies.
Yeah, and it's just like, it hurts people. You're hurting people. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself because it's like, if you want, there's nothing like, okay, like, you're opening up a pack of Starburst and like you only eat the pink ones, and every time you open it up, there's no pink one. Like, you're gonna eat an orange one. You're gonna be like, all right, this is whatever. But like, I really want a pink one. Like, nothing's gonna ever taste like that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get your pink Starburst, or you got to wait for the pink Starburst to come to you, because someone's just going to walk past you and end up handing you a pink Starburst, and you're going to be like, wow,
this is the one.
Because I stopped looking for it. You know what I'm saying? Because you stopped looking for it, and it's settling for anything less than,
It's a settle.
Yeah. Because, like, you deserve it, Whoever's listening, like, you deserve what is for you, and only you can know what is for you.
Like, sit with it. Like, there's always that little voice in the back of your head saying, this is not the person. And if you hear that and you know that, then sit with it. It hurts.
It does hurt.
But it's better than the long run and wasted time, wasted space, and wasted emotions.
For sure. I mean, it's like you could look at everything as a learning experience, and some people have to go through different relationships in order to, like, heal the relationship with themselves, or like whatever. Like, we're all stubborn as humans. Some people need like a big period of isolation. Some people need to be with somebody, in order to see what it is that they want. I mean, it's fucked up, but it's true. Like, sometimes it really is. You need to date people to know what it is that you want, or
like
to
they say,
know.
Kiss a couple frogs to get to your prince.
Yeah, and it's just about, like, once again, just being honest with yourself, like, and then also like not trying to force anything, like surrendering control. And just being like, whatever is for you is going to be for you. You know what I'm saying? No matter what time and space happens, if it's meant to be for you, it's going to be for you. And it's like, if you constantly think about it or fixate on it, you don't believe it's actually for you. You're afraid
it's gonna happen
that
when
it's
going to
not.
happen, and that's it.
And whatever, and however that looks. And like, that could look like something you never imagined. That could look like completely different people coming into your life, and like being even more than what you ever imagined a person could be with you. Or it could be like just taking a few years and like really just nurturing that relationship with yourself, and like not even it being like romantic, and just like giving yourself new heights, like reaching goals and businesses and making money, or like doing the things that you need to do for yourself, getting acquainted with your body and like really loving yourself and like putting all that into you. Or it could look like, maybe you do revisit something with somebody, but there's been time and space that like has came there, and then you actually are at a space where you can like start from fresh. But like you said, you gotta want to. You both have to want to. Yeah. And if you're both not ready for it, you can't force it, because it's like, I could tell you personally, from my own experience, like anytime that I've done that, I've hurt myself immensely. I've hurt myself immensely, and I've hurt other people, and it's actually made me the worst version of myself. Like, it'll make me the most toxic, the most possessive, the most insecure version of me, because you hate that you love somebody, because you're putting them before you, because you need to stand on your respect, but you don't want to give space because you don't want anyone to take up that space with that person. But guess what?
You're being selfish.
They're going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to happen anyway. Because if that person wants somebody to occupy their space, they're going to be right there.
If they
like,
wanted that,
white on rice, like a fly on a chart. It's just going to be like right there. Because if the thing is like, if somebody wants something, they're going to do it. Like, they're going to go out their way to do it, And it's like, yes, fear is a thing, and yes, there's factors and stuff like that. But like, if you have
breakups are scary.
Breakups are so scary, for real. Like, it's so scary, so vulnerable. Everyone's like concerned about like, oh, like, what are people gonna say? What are they gonna think? This, that, and the third, like, and then there's like the middle ground of like talking about it and then being private. Because like once everybody knows that you're single, and then they're trying to bark up your tree, and you're not even trying to, you're trying to build a fence, and it's just like, or like, it's just not forcing anything, man. Just allowing things to be organic, and just like trusting that process. No matter how lonely, no matter how scary it gets, like, it's like, I'm a big advocate for like screaming, you know, like, and like
really?
yelling on the, not like that, and like screaming like on the top of your lungs, like being in the car, like going on a mountain, and like I've just been in the park a lot. Like I'm like going on parks.
Sing
like,
that song, scream
yes,
that song,
oh my God.
cry that song.
I won't worry, but I need peace by Kali Uchis.
I haven't heard it.
That's a good one. We'll play it in the car for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like it just like that. Like it's like, you know, man, like just giving those aspects of yourself that is like, oh my God, like I can't, like, you know, everything that makes you want to swipe on your phone or call somebody or whatever it is, like writing it down or like making a video blog, a voice note, or like just going somewhere, like going to wherever you can find peace, like, you know, going somewhere where you could pray, like, or set an intention, whatever you believe in, you know what I mean? I've been going to like multiple places, but like one place that's like indoors to like pray, which has been really great outside of my house. And then I've also been going to like just parks to pray and just connect with nature and connect back with myself and like, you know, see, it's spring, like, you know, like there's
everything is growing.
Onion grass, there's
new.
like mugwort, there's so many different herbs and stuff like, you know, around us, and it's like really cool. And I'm going back into herbal school because my herbal school dropout. But given it was 2020 and I had like 3 jobs, so like I could not manage it.
You took everything at once.
I did, which I tend to do, but now I'm like just spreading it out
really
so that it makes
chaotic.
sense. Yeah. Well, I had a whole conversation about chaos last night with a good friend of mine. And like, so I don't even know what I'm perceiving as chaotic or not anymore, but I just know that I just want peace, you know?
You'll find it.
Yeah.
And I think
I have it with myself. I have it with myself.
You found it with yourself. I think you're just looking for your equal. That's going to complement you.
I don't really want to do that anymore.
No, you should sit with yourself by yourself.
Yeah, I'm by myself
Please.
right now. Like I just
for my
like
sanity.
That's that. I just don't want to lie to myself anymore, bro. Like I just want to be, you know, it's like it's just crazy because it's like you hit a certain age and like regardless of like what your sexual preference is or whatever, like as a woman, your body's like, are you having kids? Question mark. Like, and I'm like, yo, like I've never actually like really experienced that because like how could I? Like I didn't hit a certain age, right? And I'm not like a baby fever person. I'm like, oh my God, babies. Like I like kids.
No,
they're
you're
cool.
like, I'm Tia.
I'm like, yeah, like I'm the cool Tia. You know what I mean?
That's
That's exactly what I am. Like, so, but like, and it's like, it plays a factor. Age plays a factor because it's like, you just think about things differently. No, I don't feel like a time limit.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like that. I just actually consider it in my plans more than I have.
So like you end goal, you would want that. You would want a family.
I mean, it depends on the state of the world. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't want to just be like breastfeeding on one end and having like an AK-47 on the other hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know what the state of the world's going to be. You know, I don't know what the state of the world's going to be, you know, respectively. Because it's like, if I do have kids, I want to raise them in a certain way. You know,
like we're leaving to Mexico.
Yeah,
in
bro,
the
like,
rancho life.
Absolutely, that's what I would want. Like for real, like if I were to have kids, like that's what I would want. Like is to have land. I want to grow. I want to grow my veggies. Like I see it. Like I see it. I know I'll get there. I'll give that to myself.
I see it too.
But before I even like, you know what I'm saying, before kids come into the factor, before any of that comes into the factor, relationship has to come into the factor. And I have to heal myself.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just like, you know, just considering all of those things, but simultaneously grieving. You know, I just left something that I thought I could have all that with. Yeah. So that's a reality, and I'm grieving that, and that's going to take time, and that's going to look like I wake up and I want to cry and scream, and then that's going to look like I feel great and I'm out and I feel free, and it's going to look different every day. But, you know, my advice to anybody that's going through any kind of experience like similar, you know, anything that we're talking about here, it's just like letting yourself feel, because even if you are in a rebound, like you're still going to have days that you're grieving whoever it is that you actually want to be with. And if you don't allow yourself the space to feel those things, it will be suppressed and it will manifest in like
in your future relationships.
In your future relationships, and also in ways that you don't want. Like it's going to invoke things and like and pick at insecurities. Like if you just know you did the best you could, you know what I'm saying? And you stepped out of something. You did the best you could. You can understand, you know, how things were right, how things were wrong, you know, and then give the space, just give the space to the unknown. Like you never know what can happen. It doesn't mean wait on somebody. No. It doesn't mean pursue somebody. It means to just be with yourself, and everything else will make sense.
It'll fall in place.
It will. I truly believe that for everybody. I feel like I just like, I just don't want to ever look back in my life and be like, wow, I settled for this. Like, you know what I mean? At any point. I feel like
a lot of people resonate with that specifically. Like, oh, you settled.
Yeah.
Like,
because you see it all the time. I mean, maybe not everybody sees it, but everybody. Like, yeah, like.
But it's like one too many.
Yeah.
So, and it's not good for you. It's not good for your headspace to just be like, oh, maybe this is what I want. Maybe this is what I need. Like, you force yourself into a lie that it's not what you really want.
Yeah.
It's another space holder.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I think it's important to like not rush into like things right away.
Something right away. Like,
because then like, because then you can definitely end up in that space. I feel like a lot of people I know, especially when they're getting towards their 30s, that like, or later 30s, like, it's like, oh, like this pressure, or like, if you're in a hetero relationship, like, oh, like, I have to have kids, or, like, even if you're in, if you're in a gay relationship too, like, like, all right, in vitro, like, and looking at that process, like, there's so many different things, you know what I mean? And it's just like, that makes people be like, fuck it, like, I'm just going to settle down with this person. This is what I want to do it. Yeah. And it's
my
like,
time is like running out. So I need to do it now or never.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, like, just really taking your time, knowing that there is time, even when it feels like there isn't. Because rather than like haste makes waste, and rather than like trying to force something into that way, like just like really giving yourself the grace to like just nurture you, like get to know you, like what's your favorite color right now, what song is your favorite, like what do you love about you, what's your favorite attribute, you know what I mean, like all these different things. Like ask yourself a question, treat yourself like the person that you're in love with, infatuated with, treat your business like your kids, treat your whatever, like, you know what I'm saying, like whatever it is that you're seeing like shifting in your reality and things like that, it's like just make it happen. Make space for you. Make space for you. And you deserve it. It gets better. It does. It gets better it does. And then you get like you get more fun with like hanging out with yourself. Like I love hanging out with myself. Like I be dancing. I have a great time. I have cats too. So like I just feel like
party of one,
party of three,
one human, two cats.
Yeah, no, they're great. It also just like it just whatever can free your mind. Whatever that is. And sometimes the things that free our minds hurt, so.
Oh, for sure.
With that being said, I just really wish that everybody who's, going through it for that healing for you to gift that to you. Be true. Like, speak on what it is that you actually want, who you actually want, who you don't want, whatever it is, like to yourself. Even if you just write it down and burn it, like, what does that look like for you? Like I've been reading this book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Okay.
Well, I'm listening to audiobook because ADHD. But
I want to finish the book now.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I like to do a million things while I'm also doing it, like listening to it, and then I'll like have to reread it. Or like I personally like to have a physical book and an audiobook, but like whatever. Anyway, that's the book I'm on right now, which I strongly recommend anybody who's resonating with this podcast to listen to. I think it's by something Dispenza. He also makes the book that's called like Becoming Supernatural, but it's really good. And it's talking about like the cyclical behavior, but it's also talking about like, I guess in a form like manifesting, but like it's not so like new agey. It's more like
modern,
centraled in like more this like psychological, like also mystical, but also psychological. And it's like talking about just like seeing things like this person was so happy, they seen the life that they wanted and they believed that it was going to happen. Yeah. And they like, there's somebody, who was I just talking about? I think it was my friend Danny. So I was talking to, or maybe it was Renga. I don't know. Anyway, it was somebody I was talking to recently where they're just like, I'm so happy. Like I love my wife so much. And he doesn't have a girlfriend. But he's like, I love my wife so much. Like she's gonna be so happy. Like it's like it sounds silly. It could sound like delusional, but at the same token, it's like you're setting yourself up for that if that's what you want. It's like, oh, my business is it's doing so well. It's it's reaching everybody it's supposed to. This podcast is reaching everyone's supposed to at the right time. You know what I mean? Just like really believing that, speaking those things instead of being like, what do I lack? I don't have this. I don't have this.
Self-doubt.
I have I don't have this person. When when you break up or someone's not in your life anymore, there's an absence and there's grieving. And we don't, in this society, we don't make space for proper grieving when it comes to people dying. Of course, we're not going to make space for people like that.
Some people get like single shamed.
Yeah, literally. Like,
Like,
I
for
mean,
real.
I mean, that shit don't work for me. Like, I'm just like, all right, bro, that's weird, but
Go fight with your boyfriend.
yeah, like,
Go fight.
and that's
I'm here.
and that's why everything. Same thing with kids too. Like, people
Yeah.
are like, oh, you don't have kids? Like, yeah, no,
No,
like,
yeah,
I'm
life.
good. Like, yeah, exactly.
I'm
Like,
okay.
but once again, most of all, just do what you need to do for
Yeah.
yourself. Like, just do what you need to do for yourself. Be honest with yourself. Love yourself loudly. Like, whoever and whatever and
With all
wherever
flaws and all.
it'll just come. It'll come to you.
That's
If you
that's
keep
to
on
you.
looking for it, that shit is just gonna pass you
It's not
because it's
gonna
gonna be
happen.
like, why you looking at me like that?
Are you gonna make me pick a card?
I'm gonna make you pick a poem. I'll pull
Okay.
a card, and then we gotta wrap up.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to just like close your eyes and pick whichever is supposed to come out.
Let me see.
Whatever poem for today. What do the people need to hear?
Oh, you know what's crazy? When you lose hope.
Not you laughing.
It's a good laugh. Oh, trust me. It's just, we understand. And here it comes.
Go ahead, you can read it. Yeah.
Oh, I lost it.
Oh, yo. I'm waiting for you to read this. Like, all right.
I
I
lost
mean,
it.
then just pull another one. What is it that we need to hear? How you read the title and put the book down?
No, because I saw like the first couple words, and I'm like, no, we can't do this here. It was like too much. We'll read it in the car.
It's okay. Just open up to a page. Yeah,
No,
just
I wanna
restart
find it now.
You're like, no, I want this one.
I want this one.
Close your eyes and just open up
Okay.
to a page, and if it's meant to be,
Okay.
it'll come back. Still looking for it.
No, it's like, in case you ever wondered. This is very long though.
Okay. Do you want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. In case you ever wondered, this is page 115. In case you ever wondered, sometimes I wonder if my dreams are too big for the world, or if the world is too small for my dreams. Somehow, life always pushes me in the direction of following my dreams. Being hopeful has never left me hopeless. Being thankful has never left me unthankful. Being happy has honestly left me sad. Being compassionate has never left me heartless. Oh, no. Being happy has honestly never left me sad. Being compassionate has never left me heartless. And being grateful has never left me ungrateful. Being honest with myself has never left me feeling guilty or insincere. Living up to my own expectations can be difficult because of my expectations for myself are too high. But are they better than others' expectations for me? Definitely. Are they more relevant to my life and to my dreams than others' expectations for me? Absolutely. So today I encourage you to be hopeful, thankful, happy, compassionate, grateful, and honest with yourself. Start off with positive outlooks because they will never end up negatively, regardless of what those around you may tell you. Ignore the negative advice, follow your dreams, live up to your expectations, and remember, it's okay to be hard on yourself sometimes because no one knows what you're actually capable of doing more than yourself. Don't fall short of the greatness you know that is in you. Believe in yourself, trust your judgments, and set out for your dreams. They may be closer than you think.
Is that not a hypnosis? So like this whole podcast is like on the like right
Bro,
there.
this book always does it. I'm like, I can't even. It's the last sentence for me.
Yeah.
It's the relevance.
I'm telling you, if there was a description to like this episode, it would be that.
Yeah, no, this is like what this book does for real. But I gotta wrap up because Kenny gotta go. So I'm gonna just pull 2 cards super fast.
Yes.
In the best way possible for anybody who is listening and would like to seek advice on the cards in a good way. What is the energies that we need to invoke for ourselves right now? What is the energies that we need to invoke for ourselves right now? Okay, changing perspective. Changing perspective. What is this perspective we need to change in the relationship with ourselves? Okay. Finding a new outlook on our freedom and what that looks like for us. What is the freedom that we have? The freedom to choose, the freedom to do whatever it is that we need to do for ourselves. To be honest with ourselves and to also maybe like pivot. Maybe you're thinking at one thing, it's like the Hanged Man came up in reverse. You know, it's like you're kind of like standing up, like you can just untie your leg because you're on the ground now, you know, but you're just kind of standing in the same position, like looking at things like, do I have freedom? It's like, you do. So do what you need to do with that freedom, you know, and just honor yourself and do that in the best way possible. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I'm going to, on the Instagram live, I'm going to go back and like answer the questions and stuff. And I'm also going to play the Heart Chakra Bowl, but we're going to get off live on here. So if you guys want the extra content, shoot over to the Instagram. And also I just wanted to say shout out to Angelica, Styles by, shout out to Ciara, Styles by Angelica, who did my hair. I just wanted to also give her a very big shout out. She's incredible.
And really good.
Thank you. And like, I just wanted to feel girly and like have long hair again because I cut off all my hair, and I'm just so grateful because like my scalp needed air too because my hair is so dense. And you know, just like shout out to Ciara. She's an incredible woman. Definitely, if you guys are local and you want somebody to book and you're like a responsible human being, like then yeah, hit me up and I'll give you that information. So. Thank you so much for coming on the pod, for being you.
Thank you for being you.
For being an incredible friend and an amazing
best friend.
Literally, like, we won't see each other for a year, and it's best like friend. Nothing the moment we see each other. Like, best friend. It's the possessiveness that I love. Like, you know, it's so, like, you know.
And they didn't know our birthdays 1 day apart.
Now they know.
Now they know.
Now they know.
Yeah. But thank you. Thank you, guys.
So, thank you so much for tuning in with us.
For sure.
And till next time.
Till next time, for sure. Bye.